Hello again. I have altered the view of my camera. I am back to make some bread. So what I've done is I put some yeast and some sugar and some warm water and mixed them all together in a bowl. Now the yeast is doing fun bubbly things, which is why I've changed how the camera is setting so you could see, hopefully you can see the yeast is bubbling up from the bottom of the bowl. And that's what you want. You want the yeast to be blooming when you put your flour in. Oh, look, there it goes. It's going crazy. All right, so this is going to make 2 loaves. So it's going to sound like a lot of flour, but it'll get you 2 loaves of bread. Unfortunately, I don't have the editing ability to show you the shaping process, so I will just explain that once I'm done kneading. The kneading is the hard part anyway. It's not the shaping. You just cut in half, shape into 2 rectangles, and roll them up. I might make a separate video for that if that is something you are interested in. As of right now though, we're just gonna make our dough. So first things first, you're gonna add 3 cups of flour to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half cups make 3 cups. And then you're going to add some dry milk. Dry milk is excellent. It does not add any extra moisture, but it adds all those good milk proteins. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm going to add a half cup of the dry milk. There we go. And then I'm going to add some sugar. Now you notice I did not put the sugar in first. Sugar kills off the yeast process and you want your bread to rise. So make sure you put your yeast or your salt in, not in the water with it. That would be bad. So we're gonna have 2 teaspoons of salt. I do believe we add those now. Yeah. Okay. Now, when you mix together, I'm going to add some oil too, because you do want some fat. So you can add butter, softened butter, or you can add oil. I'm going to add oil. It does not matter. If you add olive oil, you'll have probably a slight olive oil flavor. Or you can just use butter again. It's 2 tablespoons. So I'm just going to use oil because it's easy. It's a lot easier than butter, especially when you start kneading it and stuff. And you don't have to wait for it to soften, and it serves the same purpose. So use what you want. Now to mix it, you can use, I have this nifty fancy King Arthur flour bowl scraper. You can use that. I also have a very fancy dough mixer, also from King Arthur flour. I'm a big fan of theirs. So you can use either one. I have yet to use this. I got it as a Christmas present, so I'm going to try it and see how it works. So the whole point of this dough mixer is that it's good for breads because it's got those big holes. It's not like a whisk, right? And it lets all of the air get in there. Now this is going to seem very wet. Very, very wet, which is fine. We did not add all of our flour yet. Oh, look at that. That is a phenomenal job. That was way easier than the bowl scraper. But again, you can use a spoon, you can use a bowl scraper, you can use your hands. It does not matter. As long as you mix it together. All right, now we're going to add another 2½ cups of flour. And this is when it's going to start getting really thick. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now let's see how this works. And I might have to reach in and use my hands, which is fine. You're gonna be using your hands when you need anyway. Baking is not about being spotless, I have learned, especially when it comes to flour. All right, look at that. That came together so much faster than with the dough hook or the bowl scraper. This is amazing. Okay, so you're gonna kind of do this until it decides it wants to stick together. And it's almost there. Now, once this is, sorry, let me move that back. Once this is, see how that kind of wants to be a dough now? It has decided it wants to be a dough. That's when this kind of becomes irrelevant here. We're going to try and get all that extra off. And this is when your hands are going to get very, very messy. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. Ooh, it smells all flour and yeasty. It smells amazing. And I'm going to move this to the side. And I'm going to get a little bit of flour. Now, it might take as much as another half cup of flour to knead this, but you don't want to put that whole half cup out at once. So I'm just going to put some in its scoop and move everything out of the way because it's going to take room. Now, you can do this in a machine with a dough hook. You can do it with your hands, and I'm just going to sprinkle some. You don't need a lot. And you can add more. You can always add more flour. It's very hard to take flour out. So again, be judicious. If it's too dry, it won't stick. Okay, it's going to be very, very sticky when you start. It's very sticky. That is as it should be. The gluten has not formed yet. See how it's sticking to my counter? I'm going to add more flour. And you just kind of roll it around. Now, there is a special way to kind of knead. If you want, you can flatten and roll over and push. Then turn it. Roll over and push. Roll over and push. But as long as you are pushing and rolling, it doesn't particularly matter, at least in my experience. But I will do the flatten and push method for you. See how I just kind of... Now, you're going to do this for like 3 or 4 minutes. It's going to take it till it's not quite as sticky and very bouncy. About 3 or 4 minutes. If you're using a mixer at home with a dough hook, it might go faster, so you need to watch. Now with that, see how it's not quite as sticky now? You see that? That is what you want. You can just bring in some of this flour from over here. But I'm going to be very careful with how much I add now, because it will get too dry very fast. And again, it's much easier to add than take away. And then, but if you feel like it's sticking too much, you can always add more. I'm just going to do a pinch here and there now. It's almost there. It'll be slightly sticky when it's done. Oh, I'm sorry, I was talking about the bowl with the mixer. So if you're using a dough hook at home, it should be clearing the sides of the bowl and sticking at the bottom. So it's attached at the bottom and spinning around with the dough hook. That is what a good bread dough is going to look like. So it's going to be like this. This is kind of sticky on my countertop, but it's not totally sticky. It's not that wet mass that I had in the beginning. And that is what you're going to want to look for. I'm doing this by hand because what else am I going to do with my time in these trying times but knead? It's getting very, very close. When I am done with this, I'm going to wash the bowl I use to make the dough, because it's the only one I have that's big enough. And I'm going to slightly grease it, again, with that vegetable oil. You just roll it around in there. And then I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap. And it's going to go into my not turned on oven with the oven light on. And that is actually a really, really good place. Ooh, look, it's getting springy. I'm gonna say that we're done with this. Look at that, you guys. Look at that. Okay. So again, in the oven, covered in saran wrap, and it'll rise for about 2 hours, and it should double. So you look. Don't worry about the timetable with breads. You look, and if it's like been an hour and it's doubled in size, that's okay. It's just a little warmer. You just want it to double in size. And again, this is gonna give you 2 loaves. Oh, look at that dough. It's amazing. So when you press it, it springs back. That means the gluten has formed. So I'm gonna go wash my bowl and put it in the oven. And sure, I'll come back and do a second video. I wish I knew how to edit. I'll get there. I'll do a second video on shaping the dough when we get back.